Hey, hey. Alright, so, sorry it's been a while. Happy 4th of July. So, um, saw that there's 27 views. One comment from Curtis. So you're still my loyal fan, Curtis. Are you taking some of my classes next year? I can't remember. Anyway, I guess this is chapter 7. It's slow going, guys. I'm sorry. Life is busy when you're an adult who tries to be responsible about stuff. Oh, that's okay. All right, so this is called Tick Tick Boom. She was given that list, that to-do list, and had stuff like, I think, like sing karaoke, play with a band, do some other crap. Who knows? Anyway, the ceremony's over, so let's see here. It was Thursday. It was lunchtime. Lunchtime, absolutely, unequivocally, without question, sucked again. Angie had retreated into the girls' restroom. Oh, don't eat lunch in the restroom. That's just sad. Like, you could go to the library, you know? That's fine. Third stall from the sinks, her feet drawn as close to the base of the toilet as possible, her Walkman blaring Open Arms by Journey with frontman Steve Perry. Fun fact about me, I really, really dislike Journey. There's a reason, but I really dislike them. So, her heartbreaking because she had made the mistake of going onto Casey's Facebook and seeing Casey immersed in immense glee with a Metallica t-shirt wearing girl with avocado green dyed hair and 1 gazillion ear piercings. Ooh, that's tough. That's tough. Yeah. Had Angie already been replaced by such a stereotypical rebel wannabe? Oh, come on, girl. Don't be a judgy person, you know? The wound was unbearable, the hole throbbed inside of her. Angie tore into her third Hershey's milk chocolate bar, the trifecta of square molds displaying the company's name crushed between her desperate chewing. She unwrapped another bar, then 3 Andes mints that she'd stolen from her mother's secret stash in the hollowed-out fake Aquanet hairspray can, the place where her mother also stored several $100s and a single marijuana joint. Okay. A random burglar would never think to look there. Her mother had most likely surmised, but Angie and Wang both knew their mother's detestation for aerosol products. It was one of the few redeeming qualities about Connie, at least from Angie's weighted point of view. Still salivating from the sugar, anything to ease all that felt out of control, Angie found a squished almond joy at the bottom of her backpack. It's gotta give her a stomach ache. She's gotta be diabetic, right? She tore through the wrapper, but before indulging in the trusted go-to, she stopped. Her stomach ached. Yeah. Her blood sugar had elevated. Yes. Yeah. By all accounts, she did not feel well. Not well at all. There was no joy to be found in the coconut delight with 2 large almonds glazed in a silky milk chocolate. This was a first in her relationship with almond joy. She did not like this feeling. A rush of panic washed over her. Are you panicking because you don't like almond joys? She got up from the toilet, spilling pens, buttons, Survivor on audio cassette, and an article on beekeeping onto the grimy, damp part of the floor. She leaned up against the wall of the stall, tipping her head back, eyes closed, trying to slow down the racing thoughts in her head. Thoughts of Casey, an avocado green dyed hair girl with her gazillion ear piercings. Thoughts of that stupid, horrific, unmovable statue now eating up a significant part of Dry Falls Park. Thoughts of failing her couldn't understand mother again and again and again. A group of giggling girls poured into the restroom, their normalcy choking the very abnormal parts of Angie, which were many. Angie scooped up her soaked contents and stuffed them in her backpack, rushing out of the stall. As Angie stepped outside the girls' restroom, she furiously squeezed hand sanitizer into her palm, quickly rubbing one hand over the other. As her new woo-woo therapist recently mentioned, Angie had too many metaphorical tabs open in her mind. That's true. The swirl of the last few days, weeks, and years had made it impossible to close any of them. And it was for that reason that she plowed ahead mindlessly out of the far side of the school building that she did not see Gary Klein place himself directly in front of her. Oh, I hate Gary. Dude, he's such an ass. I've never met, like, more of a stereotypical, just obnoxious bully. Do those really exist? Am I out of touch? Gary held out his leg and tripped her. Fat Angie ungracefully plunged to the cement walkway, cutting open her palm. It was Thursday. It was 12:37 in the afternoon. It was not supposed to be this hard on a Thursday at 12:37 p.m. during the first week of school. I gotta agree with her there, you know? Blood surfaced near the scars of her failed suicide attempt. She did not like to look at her scars. She needed to add this realization to her list of dislikes. Angie's face wrenched in pain. Gary's beefier stature towered above her. "Dyke down," he said, laughing, pointing at her. At close range, Angie became fully aware of the increase in Gary's neck mass, his shoulder width, even everything larger and harder and meaner. How could she not have noticed this on the first day of school? How could she have actually kissed Gary Klein all those years ago? Did we miss that? Why did he need to continue his hate for her simply because she had not liked kissing him? And why did her life suddenly feel like some fat, poorly scripted version of the 1984 classic, The Karate Kid? It has an explanation of what The Karate Kid is, but I'm not going to read it. Fat Angie, Wang, and their sister had been avid viewers of the Karate Kid franchise, Angie never realizing that she would be in a somewhat similar scenario someday. I don't think I've ever watched The Karate Kid. Actually, I'm 100% sure I've never watched it. She propped herself up with her uninjured hand and attempted to stand. "Sit down," Gary said. The bottom of his boot met her right butt cheek, and she lost her footing, flying forward. Bro, like, it's just not right. You know, like, there's cameras everywhere, right? Like, this. Is there an organization I can report this school to? All of Ohio, actually. I'm going to report all of Ohio. Yeah. I'm going to start a petition. Ohio, report it. Quit it, she warned. Ooh, said two of the guys. Gary laughed. Come on, man, said Darius. Just leave it. You still sympathizing with faggots and freaks, Darius? Gary challenged. I felt bad saying that word, so I'm so sorry. Gary ticked his look toward the other two guys. They snickered almost in unison. Darius wanted to be a leader. He wanted to tell Gary and the other guys to F off. At least that was the narrative that Angie was writing in her head. Unfortunately, he just shook his head and looked away. Gary turned his attention back to Angie, his sneer sopping with hate. Hey, you feel like squealing for us today, Piggy? Asked Gary. He licked his lips, enjoying the taunt. Screw you, Gary, she said. Don't you wish, fat ass? He said. He reached for her stomach and she slapped him away. Better watch out, Gary, said one of the guys. The other one had his cell phone pointed at Angie. Show us your mad cow face, fat Angie. You know what? This is why sometimes you do read in the news that people commit suicide. Like, it has to be. Like, from bullying. Because this is crazy. In that moment, Fat Angie was angry. Not 5 stages of grief angry, though recent psychology believed there were actually 7 stages. Rather, she was angry at her sister for enlisting, angry at Jake Fetch for hooking up with Stacey Ann, angry at her couldn't understand mother's relentless focus on weight loss, fake smiling in public, and inability to have a genuine emotion, angry that KC gave up on their love, angry that the hole continued to grow in spite of her therapeutic journaling, angry that the whole town was infatuated with an idea of a girl none of them actually knew. But at that precise moment, without question, Angie was most angry with Gary Klein and his malign friends, even Darius A. Clark. Because by doing nothing, he was still doing something. Darius might not have looked like them or acted like them, but he stood beside them all the same. It was a fact that confused Angie, but it was nonetheless true. Gary squatted, pinching Angie's stomach. Angie screamed and he covered her mouth. Panic shot through her when she could not escape him. I don't like reading this. I don't want to say this slur anymore. You know, blanks go to hell, right? Gary said to Angie. Same for Fattass Dykes. Why do I feel okay saying that, but not the other one? I'm sorry. Gary twisted his grip on her stomach. Her muted scream vibrated in her mouth, filling her throat with a shaking fear. Moron with the cell camera pushed in closer. His moment of cinema verite was at Angie's expense. She had to do something. Angie bit Gary's hand. Yeah, that's our girl. Breaking loose long enough to scream. Gary slapped her across the face. The burn was numbing. Blood trailed from her nose. Enough, man, said Darius. Shut up, faggot. Gary said. I'm up, Darius challenged. What's wrong with you? Angie scrambled to get up, but Gary hooked onto her ankle and dragged her closer, her jeans scraping along the sidewalk. Where are you going, little piggy? I really don't feel comfortable. Angie shoved him, but it only made him hungrier. He leaned into her. Hey, fat ass, why don't you... I don't want to read that. I'm not going to read that sentence. Yeah. Just think of the worst thing that they could say, like, ever. I don't want to read that. Like, why don't you go ahead and do something and that's it. Fat Angie's heart raced, her mind speeding through all the mental red lights that would say, stop, think. She was so immensely angry, she did not like to be immensely angry. She did not like to be immensely angry because she didn't know how to breathe. Her new woo-woo therapist had said, when you feel your mind racing, try and slow it down. It's too fast, Angie had said. What is too fast? The therapist had asked. The noise in Angie's mind. Helicopters, television news reporters, machine guns, Wayne crying from his bedroom window, Jake and Stacy Ann, her sister screaming, the panicked montage. Angie fast-forwarded through the third sequel in the Karate Kid franchise, where Daniel was drawn to the dark side of karate. If a man can't see, he can't. Angie thrust her palm into Gary Klein's nose, and an audible crack followed by, "You fucking fat," screamed Gary. His pain was palpable as he groaned. Angie had snapped, seen red. Whatever the phrasing was for what had happened, she had done it. She had struck Gary Klein in his nose and broken it. She stared at her pulsating palm, blood flushed to the surface of her skin. She better not get in trouble for this. The brick-shouldered bully dropped to his knees, cradling his nose. Blood seeped through the edges of his meaty fingers. "You crazy bitch," said Gary. "Oh, buddy." The guys tried to help Gary up, but in an effort to save face, he pushed them away. Tears streamed his cheeks. He coughed and spat. Bright red blood speckled the sidewalk. Then his eyes met Angie's with a fury she had never seen at anyone. Rule number 3 in the art of hand-to-hand combat: know when to retreat. Angie scrambled to her feet and ran. Well, sort of ran. For her current state of out of shape, it was more of a panting, thigh-shaping jog. She was not too far into the courtyard when Gary tackled her from behind. Angie slammed to the ground, the air knocked out of her. Where is everybody? Like, this is school. Gary established his leverage and straddled her. His punches were not pulled. They were hard and intentional. He truly wanted to cause her pain. She blocked, her sweaty arms aching from his blows. Blood from his nose splashed on her like a Pollock painting. Angie was a fan of the artist Jackson Pollock, but not a fan of looking like the early stages of a canvas from his drip period. "She's a girl, Gary," someone yelled. "Oh my God," another person said. "Get Mr. Warner." "Finally, dude," a girl shouted. Angie's vision blurred with sweat and tears. Gary's arms continued to swing. His forearms were numb, his fists getting past them, knuckles bearing down on her face. This poor girl. I feel bad for everything that I've said. Jake, Wang, anyone, please, Angie thought. Then, quite surprisingly, a bunch of guys dogpiled Gary, knocking him to the ground, corralling him. Stacy Ann hooked Angie under her arms and dragged her away from Gary. Kneeling in front of her, Stacy Ann placed her hands on Angie's bloody face. "Angie?" asked Stacy Ann. "Are you okay? Angie?" But Angie instinctively scooted away from her one-time tormentor. "Get the fuck off of me," Gary shouted. "Get off of me." When he broke loose, he surveyed the onlookers who formed a mini wall between him and Angie. He had lost more than favor. He was officially despised. Good. Regardless of his exceptional abilities on the football field, there, among his peers, Gary had crossed the line that truly mattered. Even if many of them had made Angie the butt of a joke, none of them seemed to co-sign onto Gary beating her up. "What?" Gary said to them. "That crazy bitch broke my fucking nose." "Angie?" said Stacy Ann. "Hey." Disoriented, Angie attempted to stand but collapsed. Stacy Ann helped her get up, but Angie pushed her away. "I'm trying to help you," Stacy Ann said. The vice principal and a security officer descended, pushing through the wide circle of kids watching, some still filming on their phones. Gary, Angie, Stacy Ann, and the guys who had attempted to stop the fight were escorted away from the courtyard. Jake tore through the crowd. Where was Jake? He doesn't deserve Brian. "Angie?" Jake said. "Angie, what happened?" Angie said nothing to Jake. "Angie," Jake said. But what could she say to Jake? That she had just broken Gary Klein's nose? Was it a justifiable action, given Gary's very real threat? Yeah, absolutely. She wanted to say something to Jake, something about how much she had missed him and how their friendship made her feel like she could belong, but she just continued to walk clumsily forward, her backpack strap saddled. I just had a stroke. Hold on. Her backpack strap saddled askew off her shoulder. Angie saw Jamboree standing on top of a concrete bench in the courtyard. She saw the sea of faces staring at her. It should have thrown her into a panic, but she was just too numb. Had she somehow turned into the nefarious dark side of life? When had this happened? How had this happened? Would it require a new wardrobe and en vogue hairstyle? How had her life gone from hard but sometimes funny and quirky to absolute unsolicited teen hell? It did not fit the trajectory of how she had imagined her sophomore year, even though she should have been a junior. From over his shoulder, Gary glared at Angie. Their conflict was far from over. And as unnerving as reality, as unnerving a bro, what's wrong with me, guys? As unnerving a reality as that was, there was something more ominous than his fury. She feared. What would her couldn't understand mother say? That's that chapter. That's so sad that like all of that did happen, and she is worried about her mom because like people might not believe her. And I'm worried to read the next thing because like I feel like people might not actually believe her. There's cameras for a reason. Like this isn't that old of a book. Like there's cameras everywhere. Like I don't understand. The next chapter is called It's the End of the World as We Know It. Oh man. Connie did not look directly at her daughter. She did, however, sit in close enough proximity that the heat of her silent rage radiated profusely. For the record, this sucked even more than lunch had. Principal Warner continued to speak in a monotone succession. None of it boded well for Angie, who slouched in a painful, silent seat. Painful in that the chair's arms pressed at the sides of her wide hips. Painful in that she hurt in so many other places because real fighting was not like movie fighting, especially when facing real hate. It hurt immensely. Angie, do you understand what I'm saying to you? Principal Warner asked slowly. Angie was not slow. Her mind was a buffet full of words, phrases, and ideas that did not need him or anyone else to speak slowly, even if she struggled to articulate things sometimes. It did not make Guys, my reading is really bad today. I'm so sorry. Answer him, Connie said. Yes, Angie said. I understand. Understand what? Did she get in trouble? Oh my god. Is she gonna get suspended? Principal Warner waited, doing that thing the authority figures do with dramatic pauses intended to emphasize the level of trouble someone is in. Angie did not need a dramatic pause. The anger radiating off of her mother would more than suffice. Connie, as you know, per signing paperwork during orientation, we have a zero fighting policy here at William Anders. Now, I know that Angie has had some special circumstances. Bro, he, like, attacked her. Okay. The word special had been at the top of Angie's list of dislikes and made her skin crawl. It rolled her adrenaline into full-on fight mode. It was code for low-functioning, emotionally challenged, out-of-control freak and a host of other derogatory descriptors. Angie did not want to have special anything anymore. She disliked that word almost more than anything else on her list. Almost. Now, I haven't spoken to Gary's parents as of yet, but I have to be honest with you both. This incident could result in possible assault charges for Angie. Bro. I need my fidget spinner. What? Said Connie. Assault charges against Angie? Isn't her mom like a lawyer? She had defended herself. She had finally stood up to the man, well, so to speak. That's not fair, Angie said. None of this is fair. Gary knocked me down. He started all of this. Be quiet, Connie said. This wasn't my fault, I swear. Sadly, Connie did not believe her very sincere daughter. This is not an assault charge, Principal Warner. I assure you that I plan to handle this at home. It's my job to let you know what the situation is and can be. At the very least, Angie will be suspended for a week and, depending on the superintendent, possibly expelled. We take incidents of this nature very seriously and... This is bullshit, Angie said. Yeah. Watch it, her mother warned. I didn't do this. Gary started it. He pushed me. He knocked me down. I've spoken with Gary's friends, and that's not how they tell it. And given your history... Okay. And given your history, Her history of being the only girl to have had a very public nervous breakdown during a football pep rally after slitting her wrist in the locker room bathroom, thus winning the invisible but coveted award of Nutcase Supreme, of being everything outcast, everything her sister was not, of now being accused of a crime she had not committed. Yet Ohio sucks. That's right, I'm labeling the entire state. Thank you, Gary. Well, not entirely. And thank you, Mr. Principal Warner. Ooh! Sorry. The semantics felt irrelevant to Angie. What was relevant was who would believe Angie over Gary and his friends. The verdict was already in on Principal Warner and her mother. You literally have cameras, guys. You signed the paperwork, Angie. No fighting on this campus. I also signed the zero bullying policy, Mr. Warner, Angie said, but that didn't stop the bullying. That didn't stop the pushing and the name-calling or the fat roll squeezing. That didn't stop... Enough, warned Connie. It was not enough. It was not enough. And Angie boiled with frustration. Suspension, expulsion, assault? How were these not words related to her flirting with Juvie Hall brother instead of her? Had the world turned upside down? Would frogs literally rain down from the blue sky? Angie, you need to learn to resolve your problems without violence. Do you understand that? Right. Have a seat outside, he said. I want to speak with your mother privately. Angie struggled to get out of the chair, much to the embarrassment of her mother. Angie grabbed her now dusty and torn backpack and headed out the door. She did not expect to see Stacey Ann Sloan sitting on a bench outside the principal's office, sitting with an ice pack over her left cheek. Reluctantly, Angie sat beside Stacey Ann as it was the only available seat. Hey, Stacey Ann said. Angie continued to stare ahead as Stacey Ann held out the ice pack for Angie. For your eye, the swelling. In all of... If you hear... bark, it's my dog. In all of the chaos post-fight, Angie had yet to see her face. She pulled her phone out of her pocket. The screen was cracked from the scuffle with Gary. She rolled it into selfie mode, finally seeing the extent of the fight. Her eye was definitely a nod to the final scene in the 1979 film Rocky. Without question, she looked similarly pulverized, or, as the phrasing went, rough. Angie snapped a photo and attached it to text to KC before stopping herself. Yeah, girl, you don't need to do that. Come on now. Would Casey share the image with her sultry new wannabe rebel squeeze? Why would she? Surely they were squeeze-ish. The photograph Angie had seen on Casey's Facebook had been far too effusive. Angie deleted the message. Stacey Ann placed the ice pack on the bench between them. Angie rolled her tongue along the fresh hole inside her bottom lip, scaling her mouth with her tongue, checking for any possible missing teeth. We should talk, said Stacey Ann, about Jake. I do not want to talk to you about Jake, Angie said. Like, ever. Stacey Ann turned toward Angie, who flinched. Relax, I'm not going to do anything. Look, I get why we hated each other. I never hated you. I never did anything to you. You tortured me. Angie's searing stare silenced Stacey Ann, who faced forward, placing the ice pack back on her cheek. The school bell chimed. Kids fluttered the hallway. Their muted laughter and conversations reverberated against the glass windows. Some kids dipped their heads around welcome back posters to catch a glimpse inside the office, a few of them pointing inside before moving on to class. I'm sorry. For what I did. For how I treated you. Why? Because it was cruel. Why are you dating him? You mean, why is someone like Jake dating me? I don't know. I asked him the same thing. When did it start? Angie asked, her eyes on the floor. This summer, said Stacey Ann. But he was in rural Wisconsin, said Angie. Skype, letters, texts. Stacey Ann said, I really like him, Angie, a lot. And I'm not asking you to forgive me for how I treated you, but thanks, said Angie. Look, I'm trying. I'm really trying. Angie turned toward her. You dragged me into the locker room shower last year. Do you remember that? You made it your personal mission to humiliate me every second I was at school, posting memes of me online, turning people against me. So I'm sorry that I don't really care that you're trying, Stacey, just because you want to screw my only friend. That's not... Fuck your try. You know what? You go, girl. Yeah. I'm standing with Angie today, guys. Angie stood up and leaned against the wall that did not face Stacey Ann. She had never talked so directly, so... What happened to me? She had never talked so directly to Stacey Ann. I'm sorry, I just had a brain fart. A girl she had feared in the hallway and revered on the basketball court, only to continue to find her to be a conundrum. Angie did not understand this level of anger and hunger for confrontation. It made her feel strong, but it also made her feel empty. Plus, had she really said the F word in the principal's office to Stacey Ann Sloan? The door to Mr. Warner's office opened. Connie stepped out, motioning for Angie to follow her. The parting glance from Stacey Ann at Angie did not coincide with any of their previous interactions. It was as if Stacey Ann cared. This puzzled Angie immensely. En route to visitors' parking, a parent passed Angie, and her couldn't understand mother, Connie, stretched into that public persona that relayed, "I'm fine, we're fine, everything's absolutely fine." Angie did not like that persona. She hated it, and that's in capitalized letters. She did not know if she could put something she hated on her list of dislikes, but she would consider it. "Mom," Angie began. "Get in the car," her mother said. Angie opened the door. A wash of hot air crashed into her. Connie methodically belted herself, put the key in the ignition, and checked her makeup in the rearview mirror. This was her ritual. An apocalypse with dragons and demons bursting through the cracked, molten asphalt could happen, and Connie would still need to complete this ritual. Well, maybe not dragons. Fat Angie stared out the windshield as Connie slid the gear shift into reverse. The seatbelt warning alarm blared. Angie had not belted in. She fumbled with the strap. Connie jammed the car back into park. She was mad. "What were you thinking?" "Do you think?" asked Connie. Connie's grip on the steering wheel tightened. She was trying to regroup, channel her newfound zen, something, because she took several deep, meditative-like breaths. Angie watched her from the corner of her eye, not committing to a full-on stare for fear of drawing any more ire. "I was in court, Angie. Do you understand that I have responsibilities? Not like your father, out chasing his dreams. Moron. He's not here paying the mortgage. I am responsible, and today was one of my biggest clients." "They're all your biggest clients," Angie said. "What?" "It's what you always say when you're inconvenienced." "Inconvenienced?" Angie had put her mother on the express lane to defensiveness, not a particularly smart strategy, as her mother had yet to detail the level of groundedness Angie would incur. "Angie, you need to wake up. This isn't going to just go away. It's a possible assault charge. Do you understand what that means? I did not start the fight. He pushed me. It's not about what you think happens. It's about the possible time in a juvenile correctional facility. I can't believe this isn't a conversation I'm having with your brother." I don't understand, though, because, I've seen fights, it takes a lot to even have, juvie mentioned. You know what I mean? I don't know. "I did not start the fight," Angie pleaded. It doesn't matter. I feel like it does matter, Connie." Connie's tone was silencing. Angie wanted to make her largeness as small as possible, but she was too big, in all the ways that she could never hide. Connie rested her elbow on the console between them, pressing her fingers against her right temple. "Called your therapist on the way here," said Connie. "She's out of town until Monday, so I shared something with her that I've been considering." Connie reached into the glove box. From beneath the proof of insurance emerged a full-color brochure that had a water stain in the top left corner. For clarity, there had never been a brochure or pamphlet from her mother that Angie had deemed helpful. Not the Weight Watchers pamphlet, not the "I'm okay, you're okay" pamphlet, not even the seemingly harmless pamphlet on getting your period. But this particular pamphlet was Whispering Oak? Fat Angie asked. The name sounded like a retirement community, but it was not. Deep in the heartland, aka Iowa. I don't know which is worse. Whispering Oak was a remote faith-based rehabilitation facility for last chance at-risk youth, offering behavior modification treatment for challenging teens. Initiates spoke only when given permission. Meals, motivations, classes, and counseling were structured around daily prayer. It offered special focus on teens experiencing a sexual identity crisis with the use of conversion therapy. Deprogramming, Angie read, almost like a whisper. So she's gonna run away, right? How long is it? Oh God, okay. Alright. Whispering Oak was, in short, Yellow Ridge 2.0, and Angie was mortified. She did not like confinement. She did not like confinement at all. She most definitely did not like the word deprogramming. "Are you serious?" asked Angie. "Are you? Because I'm at absolute loss. First, with your suicidal ideations and Tom Petty fixation." What? "I was not fixated on. Then your sexuality and the running all over town after your sister's funeral, acting out and now fighting again. You can't continue to behave this way. Are you listening to me?" "I hear you," said Angie. "I hear Principal Warner. I hear Stacey Ann Sloan and Jake and Dad, even when he doesn't call. I hear all of you, but you don't hear me. Why can't you hear me? I am deafened by hearing you, Angie. That's really sad. Connie put the car in reverse. That was it. Angie's fate was pretty much sealed. Her cell phone vibrated in her pocket. She knew better than to check it. Soon she and her couldn't understand mother drove past the statue memorializing her sister. Then the street corner where Casey had told Angie she loved her for the first time. Every place was riddled with sadness, with heartbreak, with nothing funny, and Angie could have used something, anything funny right then. Even if it were Wang's lame, self-gratifying humor. You know, I bet if Angie died, her mother would feel like a piece of shit. At least I'd hope so. How had everything gotten so hard? So dark? Like season 6 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Surely Mr. John Hughes would have written a better ending to Angie's days. He would never have let Gary punch a girl. He would have found some clever way around the unbelievably graphic nature of the day's violence. However, Mr. John Hughes died of a myocardial infarction, also known as a heart attack, in August of 2009, so he would not be scripting anything for Angie's life. Rather, Angie was stuck in her paltry, quite miserable existence with the likelihood of an extended trip to a horrifying Whispering Oak in her very near future. This was not her life, was it? The next chapter is called Make the World Go Away, but I have to go away now, so until next time. I think this was 7 and 8. I feel like it's, okay, so it's like page 110, right? And there's those are anthologies. There are 341 pages, so I feel like, you know, it's gonna get better. So